Maya found the Airbnb by accident. She and her boyfriend, Jordan, had planned a quiet weekend away from the city. Nothing fancy, just somewhere remote enough to feel peaceful, but clean enough not to feel like a gamble. After scrolling through dozens of listings with identical white duvets, staged coffee mugs, and overused phrases like cozy retreat and perfect couples escape, Maya found one that looked different. It was a cabin-style house about 2 hours outside town. Dark wood interior, large windows, a stone fireplace, a long gravel driveway surrounded by trees, and best of all, almost no nearby neighbors. Jordan loved it immediately. He said it looked private, relaxing, exactly what they needed. The host, a man named Eric, had excellent reviews. People called him responsive, helpful, and thoughtful. The place had over 45-star ratings and dozens of comments about how peaceful the house felt. There was only one review that stood out. It was short, almost too short. Nice place. Basement was creepy, though. Maya laughed when she read it. Jordan did too. Every old house has one weird review, he said. So they booked it. They arrived just before sunset on a Friday. The property looked almost exactly like the pictures. The house sat alone at the end of a narrow road that turned into gravel the last half-mile. Trees crowded the sides of the driveway. The silence was immediate. No traffic, no people, just wind in the branches and the crunch of Jordan's tires slowing near the porch. Eric had left the key in a lockbox and sent friendly check-in instructions. He even texted after they arrived. "Welcome. Make yourselves at home. If you want extra blankets, there are some in the basement storage room. Enjoy the fireplace." Maya read the message and joked, "He really wants us in that basement." Jordan smirked, grabbed their bags, and they went inside. The house was beautiful. Warm lighting, a kitchen stocked with mugs and tea, soft blankets folded on the couch, a handwritten welcome note on the counter beside a bottle of cheap wine. It was exactly the kind of place that makes you feel like you made the right choice. Still, Maya noticed something small almost immediately. There were family photos on the walls. Not generic decorations, not stock art, real framed pictures. A woman and a little girl by a lake, a Christmas photo in front of the fireplace, a teenage boy holding a fish. Jordan noticed too. "Kind of weird," he said. "Maybe they used to live here," Maya replied. It didn't bother them enough to matter. Not then. They unpacked, made pasta, opened the wine, and settled into the couch while the sky outside turned black. For a while, everything felt perfect. Until around 10:30, when Maya realized she kept hearing something beneath the floor. At first, it sounded like old house settling, soft wood movement, a random thump. Then it happened again, a dull knock from somewhere below the living room. Maya muted the TV. Jordan looked up. They both listened. Nothing. After a few seconds, Jordan shrugged. "Probably pipes." Maya nodded, but the sound had felt too solid for pipes. Not metallic, not mechanical, more like something brushing against wood. Still, she let it go. Around midnight, Jordan went upstairs to shower. Maya stayed downstairs to answer a text. That was when she heard it again. 3 slow knocks directly beneath her feet. Knock, knock, knock. Not loud, but deliberate. Maya looked toward the kitchen, toward the hallway near the basement door. The basement entrance was tucked beside the pantry, painted the same dark green as the walls. It blended in so well she hadn't really noticed it before. Now, in the quiet house, it felt too still. She stood up without meaning to. The floor felt cold under her socks as she crossed the kitchen. The basement door had a simple metal latch. Nothing strange about it, nothing dramatic, just a basement door in a rented house. Still, as she stood there, she realized something that made her stomach tighten. The latch was already unlocked. She was sure it had been locked earlier, not because she had checked it, but because she remembered noticing it closed and latched when they brought in groceries. Now it hung loose against the wood. She stared at it for a few seconds, then heard Jordan coming down the stairs and stepped back immediately. When she told him what she heard, he smiled in that careful way people do when they don't want to sound dismissive. "Old houses make weird noises," he said, "and you've already decided the basement is creepy because of that review." Maya knew he was trying to calm her down, and maybe he was right, so they went to bed. The bedroom was upstairs, overlooking the front yard. The sheets smelled clean. The room was warm, and for maybe 20 minutes, Maya thought she'd managed to relax. Then she heard footsteps, slow, below them. Not outside, inside. Jordan heard them too. She knew because his breathing changed immediately. The steps moved beneath the bedroom floor, then stopped. Silence. Then came the sound of a door opening somewhere downstairs. A long, slow creak. Jordan sat up. "So you heard that?" Maya whispered. He nodded. This time, he didn't say pipes. They listened in complete darkness. Another step. Then another. Then nothing. Jordan got out of bed and turned on the lamp. He grabbed his phone and said he was going downstairs. Maya told him not to. He said if someone had actually gotten in, they needed to know. So they both went. He in front, Maya behind him, holding the lamp from her phone so tightly her hand hurt. The staircase creaked under every step. When they reached the kitchen, everything looked normal. The living room was empty. The front door was locked. The windows were shut. Nothing moved. But the basement door was open. Only a few inches, just enough for darkness to show through the crack. Jordan swore under his breath. Maya felt her whole body go cold. He stepped forward and pulled the door wider. The basement stairs disappeared into shadow. At the bottom, a single pull-chain light swayed slightly. Not enough to look dramatic, just enough to look wrong. Jordan called out. No answer. He flipped on the stair light, and they both looked down. The basement was unfinished. Concrete floor, shelves lined with old paint cans and storage boxes, a washer and dryer near the far wall, and in the center of the room, a chair, facing the stairs. Maya felt Jordan go still beside her. There was nothing in the chair, no person, no movement, but the way it was placed made the room feel staged, intentional, as if someone had moved it there to sit and watch the stairs. Jordan went halfway down before Maya grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said. He turned to look at her. Then they both heard it, a soft movement behind the far wall. Not loud, just enough to tell them they were not alone. Jordan slammed the basement door and locked it, then shoved the kitchen table against it. Maya's hands shook so badly she could barely type while Jordan called the police. The operator kept asking if they saw anyone. No. Did they know someone was inside? No. Had anything been taken? They didn't know. Police took nearly 30 minutes to arrive. It felt like 3 hours. During that wait, neither Maya nor Jordan took their eyes off the basement door. Nothing happened. No knocking, no footsteps, no sound from below. When the police arrived, they searched the property inside and out. No one was found. Nothing stolen, no broken windows, no signs of forced entry. Then one officer looked at the basement and asked a question neither of them had thought to ask. "Did your host mention the exterior access?" There was a second door to the basement, outside, hidden at the back of the house behind stacked firewood and overgrown shrubs. It was unlocked. Police found muddy footprints leading to it. Inside the basement, behind the far wall near the storage shelves, they found a narrow utility gap large enough for a person to crouch in. There were empty water bottles there, snack wrappers, and a sleeping bag. Someone had been staying below the house, listening, waiting, maybe for days, maybe longer. The police contacted Eric, the host, who sounded shocked and apologetic. He said the basement had been unused for months, that he had no idea anyone could access it from outside. But when Maya checked the message he'd sent after check-in, the part that stayed with her was no longer the extra blankets.
It was the way he had worded it. "If you want extra blankets, there are some in the basement storage room." As if he wanted them to go down there. As if he needed to know whoever was below had already left, or was still close enough to hear guests moving above him. Maya and Jordan left before sunrise. They never got a clear answer on whether the man in the basement was a trespasser, an old tenant, or someone who had been using the Airbnb for far longer than anyone realized. But months later, when Jordan was leaving a review, Maya stopped him before he posted it. She told him not to mention the hidden sleeping area, not online, not where a future guest might read it and think the horror part was over. Because in her mind, the worst part of that night wasn't the footprints or the open basement door. It was the chair in the middle of the room, facing the stairs, as if someone had been sitting in the dark, listening to them above, waiting for the right moment, and hoping one of them would eventually come down alone.
Talia had been looking forward to the trip for weeks. She worked remotely, spent too much time in her apartment, and had convinced herself that a quiet solo weekend would help reset her mind. She didn't want a hotel. Hotels felt crowded, predictable. She wanted something smaller, personal, a place with character. The Airbnb she booked was a renovated studio guest house behind a larger home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. It had glowing reviews. People called it charming, spotless, and perfect for solo travelers. The host, a woman named Denise, had a profile picture with a warm smile and a long message explaining how much she loved making guests feel comfortable. There was self-check-in, a private entrance, a small patio, and one line in the description that Talia remembered only later. "The host lives on site and is available if you need anything at all." She arrived late Friday afternoon. The guest house looked exactly like the listing photos. Neat, bright, tastefully decorated in that neutral Airbnb style, where everything looks expensive but emotionally blank. The bed was made perfectly. 2 rolled white towels waited at the foot of it. A diffuser filled the room with a clean floral scent. Talia smiled. It felt safe, easy. She unpacked, ordered food, and spent the evening watching a movie with the patio curtains half open to the fading light outside. Nothing seemed wrong. At around 11 p.m., she noticed the bedroom mirror was angled strangely. It leaned against the wall opposite the bed, full length, framed in black wood. Nice enough, but it seemed tilted just enough to reflect the bed directly. Talia adjusted it without thinking, then went to shower. When she came back, the mirror was angled again. Not by much, just enough to catch the entire bed in its reflection. Talia stopped drying her hair and stared at it. She was alone. The room had no pets. No one had come inside. She walked over and moved it again, a little harder this time, making sure it sat flat against the wall. Then she checked the front door. Locked. She checked the bathroom. Empty. Closet. Empty. By the time she got into bed, she'd almost laughed it off. Maybe the floor was uneven. Maybe she nudged it by accident. Still, she turned the mirror away from the bed completely before switching off the light. She woke at 2:26 a.m. to a faint buzzing sound. At first, she thought it was part of a dream. Then it came again, a small vibration, close. In the dark room, she sat up and listened. Buzz, buzz. Not from her own phone. That was charging on the nightstand. This sound came from somewhere near the wall behind the bed. Talia turned on her flashlight and started searching. The buzzing stopped. She checked her bag. Nothing. Under the bed. Nothing. Then she saw it. A second phone, wedged between the bed frame and the wall. Black case, cracked corner, screen dark. She pulled it slowly, as if it might somehow belong there. The screen lit up the moment she touched it. 32 missed notifications. Battery at 4%. Camera app open.
front-facing. Talia stared at it for a full second before the meaning hit. Then she dropped it onto the bed like it had burned her. The front camera was pointed outward, toward where the bed had been, toward where she had been sleeping. Her chest tightened so fast she nearly couldn't breathe. She grabbed her own phone and started recording immediately. Then she took pictures of everything: the hidden phone, its location, the room, the mirror, the bed. Her hands shook the entire time. She didn't call the host. She didn't call Airbnb first. She called the police. While waiting, she did something she still says she almost regrets. She opened the hidden phone again. There was no passcode. Inside the camera roll were short videos, not dozens, only 6, all recorded in that room, all from the same angle. One showed the bed empty. Another showed Talia coming in with her bag. Another showed her sitting cross-legged on the bed eating takeout while watching TV. And the most recent, recorded less than 20 minutes earlier, showed her sleeping, completely unaware. Talia stopped watching and locked the screen immediately. The police arrived within 15 minutes. They took the phone, documented the room, and began asking questions. Did she know the host personally? No. Had anyone else been inside? No. Did she notice anything unusual? Only the mirror. The officers searched the guest house, then the main house. Denise, the host, answered the door in pajamas and looked genuinely confused, then deeply offended. She claimed she had no idea where the phone came from, said previous guests sometimes left things behind, said maybe it belonged to a cleaner. But one officer asked the obvious question: if it was forgotten, why is the camera pointed directly at the bed? Denise didn't answer. What happened next took hours. Police checked the phone records. The device was registered under a family plan connected to Denise's adult son. He didn't live there officially, but he had a key. According to Denise, he sometimes stopped by. Police found him asleep in a converted garage space on the property. On a laptop beside his bed were screenshots pulled from security cameras around the home, and one folder labeled simply with the guest house address. Talia didn't stay to hear the rest. She left before sunrise and drove 2 hours home with every light in her car on. Later, she found the son had allegedly hidden devices before. Nothing proven, nothing that led to charges strong enough to make headlines. Just complaints, uneasy guests, missing items, a review or two removed after private resolution. The listing disappeared within a week. Months later, Talia still avoids rentals with mirrors facing the bed, and she never ignores that line anymore. Host lives on site and is available if you need anything at all. Because sometimes that doesn't mean hospitality. Sometimes it just means proximity, access, observation. A reminder that in some Airbnbs, privacy is not actually what you paid for. And the thing that still bothers her most is not the hidden phone, not the videos, not even the fact that someone watched her sleep. It's that when she first found the room beautiful, peaceful, and carefully arranged, she was right. It had been arranged, just not for comfort, for viewing, for angles, for whoever needed the mirror tilted exactly one way and the phone hidden exactly where it could see everything.